This fist broke Little Miss Becky Lynch's face.
A wrestling move being created out of a botch is kind of rare, as usually if a botched version of a move leads to a somewhat riskier move being creative, then it's unusual for the move to be repeated, never mind become famous around the world. But in these instances, wrestlers actually stuck with that move, and some even made it their actual finisher. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at botches that led to a new wrestling finisher being created. Number 1. Sound of Heaven. A Damian Priest Sound of Heaven finishing move is currently one of the most protected and credible moves in WWE right now. The move even won Priest the world title at WrestleMania 40, and the move stands out thanks to being a variation on the popular chokeslam that has dominated the wrestling scene for decades. Now believe it or not, the finishing move surfaced thanks to a notable botch, as Priest managed to fall whilst delivering a standard chokeslam. Speaking of Fightful, the former world champion discussed the unique origin of his finishing move, saying, "For the Sound of Heaven chokeslam, I was training at the old Monster Factory, and at the time the trainer on Sundays was Jim Molyneux, who was a referee for ECW. It was before I had my first match, and he was telling me, we're gonna come up with a finisher for you, try a chokeslam. The reason why I got into pro wrestling was because of The Undertaker. I was a big fan and just everything about him. When he said try a chokeslam, I got excited, and for the first time I tried it, it didn't come out smooth. Then I tried it again and I fell. When I fell sitting down, maybe because it was a big guy I was trying it on." A Priest went on to say that the next time he did the move, he purposely fell, and the Sound of Heaven was born as his primary finishing move. Number 2. Tiger Driver 91. Now, the Tiger Driver is a move that is commonly used outside of WWE, yet the origins of this move are interesting because the move was created completely by accident. Mitsuhara Masawa was the man often cited as being responsible for the move, and the story goes that Masawa attempted a powerbomb and he encountered an unexpected hiccup. His timing was slightly off and his opponent's body didn't land in the traditional way. The move Masawa had accidentally created was the Tiger Driver, and it would soon obtain a reputation for being one of the most deadly and legitimate moves out there. Number 3. Powerbomb. Speaking of the Powerbomb is another move that became a new move virtually out of nowhere. The origin of the move goes back to the 1950s, and when NWA champion Lou Thesz and fellow legend Antonio Rocco were wrestling, a piledriver spot was about to go down, and the two men inadvertently created the powerbomb. When the two realized that the move was unique and received a thunderous reaction from the crowd, the move managed to be a regular feature in the matches as the years went on. By the time wrestling arrived in the 1990s, numerous wrestlers in major companies had adopted the powerbomb as their primary finishing move. Whilst the first powerbomb was rather dangerous to look at, especially when you consider that the move was supposed to be a piledriver, the move would evolve as the years went on, and there have been endless variations seen over the past 2 decades. Number 4. Trick Shot. A Trick Williams trick shot finishing move didn't surface via a botch, however the move was never planned and it was never improvised in the middle of a featured match. When Williams was wrestling Ilya Dragunov, Williams decided to hit a running knee out of nowhere, and this is where the trick shot finishing move would be born. The former NXT champion discussed this during an interview with Fox Sports Happy Hour. "I would say it was actually accidental. It was Ilya Dragunov Trick Williams too. It was just a fight. It was a fight. He's hitting me in the face, he's hitting me in the mouth, he's trying to inflict so much pain. At this point I'm like, I'm gonna hurt you, whatever happens, happens. The first thing that came to my mind is, I'm gonna put my knee right in the middle of his forehead." Williams went on to say that the crowd going crazy was a key factor in the move becoming his new finisher. "I went for it full speed, he hit a backflip, his face was bleeding and the crowd was going crazy. I was like, this right here should be my new finish. I was doing the spinning trick kick before, but in that moment with Ilya Dragunov, when it came down to it and I wanted to hurt you and inflict as much pain as possible, putting my right knee in the middle of your forehead seems like a pretty good idea." Williams was definitely right in using the knee as his new finishing move, as the best moves in modern wrestling are those that can be just hit out of nowhere, and this was most definitely the case with this particular finishing move. Number 5. The Diving Headbutt. A wrestler regretting their own finishing move is uncommon in the wrestling industry, as traditionally the wrestler will take great pride in their move. However, when the move has a somewhat negative reputation, it's sometimes best that wrestler distances themselves from the move entirely. When it comes to Harley Race, in his later years he spoke out about how much he regretted the diving headbutt move, and it's easy to see why. The diving headbutt is a controversial move mainly because it's seen by many as dangerous, and numerous wrestlers who use the move as a finisher have gone on to have lifelong issues with their necks. According to Race, the move itself was created accidentally, and it's easy to see when watching early versions of the move, as it often looks sloppy and awkward upon execution. It's likely that Race went for some kind of splash but managed to botch the move and managed to do damage with his head. Due to the move looking unique compared to every other high-risk move, it naturally just stuck as his finishing move. Number 6. The End of Days. Now, the End of Days managed to become one of the most protected finishers of the past decade, and this was without a doubt the correct approach to take in terms of the presentation and booking of the move, as the End of Days looked incredible whenever Baron Corbin would deliver it, and the move stood out for all the right reasons. Now, an interesting story about the move is that the move surfaced when Corbin was just playing around at the WWE Performance Center. Corbin shared this fascinating story during an interview with Chris Van Vliet, saying, "Same with Deep 6 too. We were playing around at the Performance Center. We had a crash pad ring. We can go in there and try things, and a kid named Sami Callihan, I was playing around with him in the ring, and he does this thing where he springs off the bottom rope and catches you for a DDT. And I was just messing with him, and he jumped and I caught him. And I did the End of Days on him, and we both sat up and looked at each other like, wait a second, what was that?" Corbin went on to say that he would proceed to redo the move, and then he would send the footage to WWE official Billy Gunn for approval, and the rest they say is history. Yeah, like, that's something cool, and then I just did it, and I was like, dude, and I filmed it, and at the time I sent it to Billy Gunn. I was like, yo, I think this is my finish, because I was really trying to find a finish at the time. He's like, that's awesome, I'm gonna use it tonight against the Shield. And I said, don't you dare, I will fight you when you come back. And he didn't, he was just messing with me. But so it was a complete accident, and it's just been something that really kind of put me on the map. It's a cool, unique first time ever seeing this finish, and then I protected it with every bit of my might. WWE rarely commits to protecting a new finisher to the level they did with the End of Days, and it was definitely a factor in the move getting over to the level it did. Number 7. DDT. Now, it's difficult to find a modern wrestling match without some form of a DDT featured within it, and the unbelievable thing about the move is that the legendary Jake the Snake Roberts created the move thanks to a notable botch in a match. According to the WWE Hall of Famer, he had a front face lock on a wrestler and then he awkwardly tripped over, and this ultimately led to the creation of the iconic move. Roberts expanded on the origin of the move during an interview with Niagara Frontier Publications. Yeah, it was an accident. I was in the ring wrestling. I had a front face lock on a guy. He stepped on my feet and we fell backwards. He went on his head, I went on my back, and the fans went, oh. I went, wait a minute, I've got something here. And then I started working on it and come with it and named it after the poison that everybody outlawed. The DDT would go on to become one of the most famous moves of all time, and it's insane to know that if Roberts didn't stumble backwards and botch during the match, then the DDT may have never seen the light of day. And number 8, the Claymore. Whilst the Future Shock DDT was a great move for Drew McIntyre, the Claymore just had that extra element of legitimacy and ferocity as a finishing move, and the fact that McIntyre could hit the move out of nowhere was a key factor in the move getting over. According to McIntyre, he did the move initially during his 3MB days, and the move surfaced due to a botch with his wardrobe. The former WWE champion revealed during an interview with KWCH that due to his in-ring gear being so tight, he was forced to kick up his other leg when executing a kick, and whilst the move looked fantastic, he ended up legitimately knocking himself out. I was in a match when I was younger and I was wearing tight leather pants. I ran to kick a guy in the face and the pants were so tight I had to kick up my other leg. I accidentally spun and landed on my head, I kicked him in the face, and then I knocked myself out. When I saw the footage back, I thought, wow, that is great. If I could figure out how to do that move without knocking myself out and maybe not wearing those tight leather pants, I'm jamming. The Claymore became McIntyre's primary finisher in 2017, and the move has managed to defeat names such as Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, and even Cody Rhodes. But there you have it, folks, botches that led to a new wrestling finisher being created. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.